We were coming in here, and the guy that was stopped there with the complaint that you were talking to, as we came in, I was in the left-hand lane. He came around me and tried to cut in front of me to go into the parking space. Cut in front of me, slammed on his brakes. That's when I have a concealed carry permit. I reached down and picked up my gun, and I held it right here.
Does any of that constitute pulling out a firearm?
Well, good morning, guys. Cheers. Welcome back to Southern Draw Law, where I'm surviving basically on coffee and dreams. My name is James White. I'm a criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, and former police officer. Today's case comes to us from the YouTube channel Police Watch. It features a case out of Dallas, Texas, depicting a road rage incident due to aggressive driving at the Dallas airport. Now, I have edited this video substantially because it's pretty long. It was like a 20-minute source video, but we're able to get the entire story from the edits that I made. But you should head over to the Police Watch YouTube page, watch the clip in its entirety if you're interested, and give them credit for sharing it. Now, disclaimer, I am a Second Amendment advocate. I believe there's a reason that it's second. Within that framework, though, I believe society should hold gun owners, and specifically those who carry their guns on their person, to very strict standards as to how they conduct themselves while they're armed. I am a post-certified law enforcement, firearms, defensive tactics, and use of force instructor. This is my wheelhouse. So, buckle up, kids. It's going to be fun. In August of 2023, airport police officers at the Dallas International Airport responded to a 911 call placed by an Uber driver who said that another driver brandished a gun and waved it at him during a road rage incident in front of the airport. The body cam picks up as police officers are conducting interviews of both drivers, so let's go check that out and then we'll come back and talk about it.
We were coming in here, and the guy that was stopped there with the complaint that you were talking to, as we came in, I was in the left-hand lane. He came around me and tried to cut in front of me to go into the parking space. Damn near ran into the side of me. Kept going straight. He zoomed past me, cut in front of me, slammed on his brakes. That's when I have a concealed carry permit. That's when I reached down and picked up my gun.
Don't take it out the zipper.
I won't.
Roll the window down for my partner, please.
I reached down and picked up my gun, and I held it right here.
Did you take it out of the zipper?
Did not take it out of the zipper. He went up on the hill, up on the upper level parking, which is where I came, and once again he stopped me as I passed by him. He stopped at me, wagged his finger at me again, came here and picked up my wife.
Does any of that constitute pulling out a firearm?
When he came by me at 20 miles an hour, cut in front of me and slammed on his brakes right
You got every right to be pissed off.
I had no idea what he was doing. I had no idea if he had a gun. I had no idea if he was trying to harm me. Why would he cut in front of me in the parking lot?
There's bad drivers all over Texas.
From the right-hand lane, he passes by me fast enough to get in front of, cuts in front of me as if he was going to go into the parking lot and then stop. Went back, now I've decided not to go into the parking area. Now he pulled his car back out and goes the same direction I happen to be going, and now he's in front of me. I slowed down so that there wouldn't be additional confrontation. Unfortunately, as I passed right by him right there, he said something else to me. I didn't know he was talking to you guys, but he said something else to me. I ignored him, walked by, picked up my wife.
A couple different things to note here. One, I'm a little aggravated at how casual the police officer is as he allows this guy to maintain control of the firearm, a firearm that he allegedly used to threaten somebody, by the way. I suspect that if Paranoid Papaw, who I'll henceforth refer to as PP for short, belonged to any other demographic other than very old and very white, he would probably have guns drawn in his face and be treated very differently, and at a minimum have some very stiff directives as to where his hands should be and where that gun should be. Note also that when PP was giving his initial rendition of the story, he's describing a free flow of movement between himself and the Uber driver. He says things like, well, then I decided not to go to the garage, and I slowed down so there wouldn't be additional confrontation, which means that he was in control of his own movement. Now, contrast the amount of patience that the police extended to PP during their interview of him against the lack of patience that they seem to have for the Uber driver. We continue.
What did you see?
I tried to cross.
But what did you see?
over there in I'm Uber driver. I came with the drive over there, and I want to get the shortcut over there. Okay, I came the second lane. He come the third lane. He has to go to the turn, right? He come the third lane. I try to get the turn, and he come to the third lane and the second both middle. He not let me to go.
Did you see a firearm?
Yeah, he showed me like this. Yeah.
With the firearm out of the bag?
Yeah, he showed me like this.
Okay. What kind of firearm was it?
I don't know. Not outside. Inside, he showed me like this.
Okay. Was it the handgun visible or was it inside the bag?
No, he's in the bag. He's in the gun hand and he showed me in the glass.
Okay. What color was it? Do you know?
It's the black. I saw the black on the.
Just a black handgun?
Yeah.
Okay.
It showed me like this.
Do you have your driver's license real quick?
Notice how short and impatient the police officer is with the Uber driver. He let PP ramble on for 2 or 3 minutes about what happened, but he immediately cuts the victim off when he's describing his version of the story, and he has no patience for allowing him to finish. He has to repeat himself, and he cuts him off, and you can make your own conclusions as to why that is. Maybe it's because he's brown, maybe it's because he's foreign and has a language barrier or an accent, but nevertheless, it's obvious and pretty gross that there's a difference in the way these guys are treated.
What I want to know is, okay, what made you think it was a good idea to even brandish the bag?
First of all, he aggressively went by me.
Okay, I get that people,
And he
road rage and all that.
He cut in front of me. I didn't know at that point. When he cut in front of me and stopped his vehicle and blocked me from proceeding, at that point I thought, okay, what is this guy doing? Why is he stopping and blocking my lane? He could have done 2 things, kept going straight or gone into the parking lot. Why did he stop in my lane at a 45 degree perpendicular? He was partly in the right lane, partly in my lane. I couldn't advance any further. No, I said I just picked up my bag at that time and held it right here.
Okay. Did you ever take the firearm out of the bag?
Did not take it out of the bag. I know better than to do that. I've got to carry concealed weapon, and he has that as well.
What kind of firearm is it?
It's a 9mm.
What kind?
I don't know. I think it's a Ruger. My dad passed away, and it's his gun.
A Ruger?
Thing.
Okay, but do you see how even brandishing the bag is not the best of ideas?
I can see that now because I'm talking to you, and that's not what I wanted to be doing tonight. But can you see, especially in this day and age
44, we're good.
with violence all over this country, can you see from my perspective how when a car just pulls in front of me and stops and impedes my progress, what am I supposed to...
But if you brandish a firearm...
What list of things am I supposed to start, what am I supposed to do when that happens? What's the first thing that I should be thinking?
Well,
am I in danger?
Okay, in your instance...
Is he going to invite me to a tea party?
If I were you, okay,
yes, sir.
Because I've been concerned because of road rage and all that other stuff.
Exactly.
What I would do is I'd lock my door, and if you have the firearm, I'm not going to brandish it. I'm not going to show anybody. I might have my hand on it in case or something like that, but I'm not going to sit here and threaten somebody with it or show them.
Threaten him. I held it up.
Okay, but with you showing him even the bag, which everybody knows what's in that kind of bag, that could be considered as a threat.
Well, stopping your car and blocking me in the middle of my lane could be considered a threat as well. And that, my question to you is, at what point do I determine that my life is in danger?
Okay.
At what point do I start taking steps to protect myself when a man pulls his car in front of me and stops it at a 45-degree angle, impeding my traffic and breaking the driving laws?
Okay. Can I see your firearm? Don't take it out of the bag. Just hand me the bag.
It's unzipped.
Okay.
I always drive with it unzipped so I can reach for it if I need to.
Okay. I'm gonna put it right here. Okay. You care if I take it and unload it real quick?
No, go right ahead.
I'm gonna take it back to my car just so it's not here in front of everybody. Okay.
Why are you doing that?
Because I'm gonna run your firearm, make sure it's not stolen. But I don't want to unload it in front of everybody over here. Okay. So what he's saying is that he got this road rage incident with this Uber driver. Uber driver like cut him off or something like that. Parked, and he said that this driver said that he just brandished the bag, not the firearm or anything like that. Uber driver saying that he brandished the firearm.
Was the Uber driver able to describe the firearm?
He just said it was a black handgun.
Okay.
Now, notice in his second telling of the story that PP has picked up on the fact that the officer initially dismissed the reasonableness of his explanation for drawing the gun. He's starting to figure out that this isn't really going his way, so he starts to embellish and add some additional details that he didn't include in his original story. He's suggesting that the driver impeded his ability to go anywhere, which is sort of like setting up a false imprisonment type thing, and pretending like 3 minutes ago he didn't describe a free flow of movement between the two of them. Now he's kind of suggesting that he was boxed in and he didn't have any choice. But he does give us the gift of saying that he slowed down his vehicle to avoid further confrontation, and slowing down would imply that he had control over his ability to change the speed of the vehicle. And he also let us know that he decided not to go to the garage for whatever reason, maybe because the Uber driver went there, but that alone tells you that he had a choice as to where he was going to go or not go. Let's continue.
When this whole lane change happened, did you continue going straight, or did you go up the up ramp through the garage?
No, I never entered the garage.
Never entered the garage?
I was in the lane that you could either turn left. It's got two arrows. One was turning left into the garage. The other was go straight. I went straight. He blocked me before we got to that spot. He was so pissed off because he tried to force his way over. I honked my horn at him. That pissed him off. Ran right by me as if to intimidate me, and he did. Cut in front of my car just before he could go into the garage, and I thought he was going to I thought he was going to cut in front of me, give me the finger, and then pull into the garage. Pulled in front of me, didn't go into the garage, wagged his hand at me. I don't know what he was doing with his hand, and then he turned half a circle, went back into the lane I was in, and went up the ramp.
Okay, PP is fully shitting his pants now, right? He knows that this is not going his way. He's now added that he believes the Uber driver intentionally tried to intimidate him, and he's articulated that he was intimidated. And he's starting to become defensive and almost righteously indignant at the fact that he's being questioned in an accusatory way. So again, he started down here with facts. And again, he was in control of how the story was told. But as the officers have shown that they accept his version of it, or the justification attached to his version of it, less and less, his embellishment and changes in the details that he's adding goes up as he notices or becomes more aware of the fact that they're not buying into his version. As you'll see, the Uber driver stays consistent in his statement.
I mean, if you got video, that would better smooth things out, because I'm getting one story from him and one story from you. That's why everything's getting confusing.
I don't know. I have a chip if you want to check it out and let me know.
I can't do nothing with that, man. Okay. But if a guy's waving a gun, then that's a crime. Yeah, we want to investigate that.
Yeah, you can do it, so because I tell them exactly what happened.
So did he ever take the firearm out of his little pack?
Yeah, he saw me like this.
Yeah, at what point? Like up here or back down there behind
the back there? When I knocked that, I honked that because he crossed me. Because I can't get
So did it look like a rifle, handgun,
small gun, small gun, it's like that. I don't know which name is that, but a small gun like that. Black color, yeah.
Black, silver?
Black color, yeah. Black color.
Okay. So it definitely wasn't in a brown leather holster. Both honk at each other, probably gave each other the finger. Okay. He's saying that he took his firearm out of his holster and started flashing it at him. Okay. He's saying he just picked up his little brown leather holster and just to prove that he had a gun and he shouldn't intimidate him or anything like that. Okay. He's saying he never took it out of the holster, but he's advising he saw a small black handgun being waved by this gentleman. Okay. Here's the other question. If we do pursue the disorderly conduct charge, do you want to pursue charges on him? Crime is against you. He displayed a firearm towards you, so you would have to be the victim of that crime. So it's up to you if you want to go through the legal process if we end up going that route.
I don't want to do that.
You don't want to?
Hey, well, with all this day of crazies out in the world, I can't believe that there's even a question that I had the right to feel threatened.
You know, sometimes I wonder if people bathe in their favorite scent of narcissism before they leave the house.
At the airport, I have seen something you probably would be like, no way. People will pull in from anywhere.
Right.
You won't even see them.
What he was trying to do.
People will walk in front of your car. When people come to the airport, I don't know what happens to them, but something funny happens. I've seen people come from anywhere and everywhere.
Well,
if you have road rage, then airport's probably not the best place to be at.
I don't have road rage until somebody stops their car in front of me, prohibits me from moving my car, and then I'm wondering, what is this person going to do next? Are they going to jump out of their car with a gun?
Right.
Are they going to jump out of their car with a baseball bat? What am I supposed to do now? Sit here and wait for them to do something?
Yes. Look at me, PP, and understand. Please listen carefully. In order to know what you should do, you have to wait to see what they're going to do. And if all they do is drive, then all you can do is drive. It's chicken shits who behave like you who make life harder for responsible gun owners all over this country and give us a bad name. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
All right. Regardless of whether or not he's going to prosecute,
he's going to go to jail.
Going to jail?
For disorderly conduct.
Even though we don't got video of it, it's just his word versus...
Well, he described it as being a small black handgun, right? What is he in possession of? It's a small black handgun.
Okay.
So, I mean...
So he told me black handgun. It's a black handgun. I don't know. It's a full size. That's fine with me.
So, I mean, he got a probable cause.
When he did hand me the bag was unzipped. He said he drives with it unzipped like that. But, I mean, the gun was easily accessible. Can you step out of the car for us real quick?
This guy's going to take me to jail.
We're going to talk about that out here real quick.
Come on, buddy. Please don't take me to jail.
Let's go back over here real quick. Based off of the fact circumstances that we were told, okay, we believe that you displayed a firearm, whether or not it's in the zipper or whatever. He described your handgun. Okay?
I did help.
Small black handgun. Okay,
It's not a small gun.
Regardless,
It's a large gun.
He described your handgun. Okay, that's kind of hard to do when it's inside of a brown leather case.
It was in the case.
Okay, so right now you're going to be arrested for disorderly conduct for displaying a firearm. Okay, so can you turn around and put your hands behind your back for us, please?
Yeah, can I have a minute with my wife to
We'll let you talk with her.
make some arrangements? I can't believe you guys are doing this. I didn't show him my firearm. I didn't. I don't understand how you're taking his word against mine. This is unbelievable.
Sir, real quick,
This
are you
is
okay
such-
with your wife driving your truck home?
I am okay with that. This is such an injustice. I did not show that guy my gun. Is there a law that says I can't show him the bag?
Right now, he
can't
described
hold-
your firearm.
Yeah, but how hard is that to say it was a black pistol? How many people in the country have black pistols? Who's the supervisor?
I am.
Can you tell me just how I'm just a guy saying it was a black gun, I'm being arrested? The aggression that he displayed on me with his vehicle by pulling in front of the only lane that I was in, that act of aggression, what am I supposed to do with that?
Okay. That's failed to maintain a single lane or not yielding the right of way. That's a traffic offense.
But I understand in retrospect it's a traffic offense, but I'm asking you, when a man zooms past me and intentionally blocks my lane, what am I supposed to think might happen next? How did I know he wasn't going to jump out of the car with his gun?
Well, did he jump out of the car?
No, he didn't. But you're dealing with retro. I'm asking about in the moment.
Right. Did you believe that he had a gun on him?
I believed he aggressed on me because he passed me, and I think the speed limit up that ramp is 15 miles an hour. He came all the way around me from behind me, cut in front of me, slammed on his brakes, stopped me from progressing. What am I supposed to do with that? And I'm not talking, look at it retrospectively.
Right. No, I understand.
Try to put yourself in the moment.
Right. And I've been in that moment myself as well, and I'm an LTC holder, and like I said, at that point, all you got is basically just a traffic offense, and you got to just let it go.
This guy's describing what we all recognize as irrational fear. First, his justifications for his feelings are based on reckless driving at best. But then he further invites us into his excremental display of critical thinking by suggesting that he felt afraid because he wasn't sure whether the Uber driver had a gun. And, you might, as a human being, sort of reflect on that idea and for a millisecond give him a pass before you remember that he himself had a gun. And he pulled it. So if I'm the cop here and I'm doing this interview, after I made him feel self-conscious for the mental gymnastics it takes to come up with a justification for this, which the officer did from the beginning and was right to do so, I'd probably ask him some question similar to this. Let me ask you this, PP. You say you did what you did because he was driving aggressively. You weren't sure what he might do. You didn't know whether he had a gun or some other deadly weapon, right? That's your story? And then when he walked into the trap, I'd enjoy it for just a second, and I'd follow up with this. PP, did you have any intentions during this encounter of shooting the Uber driver? And of course he would act as if that was a crazy question, and he would say, no, of course not. Okay, so you didn't have any intentions of shooting him, but you did have a gun, right? He would say yes, and I would say, so in retrospect, don't you think it's unreasonable to assume that just because someone's driving aggressively while they happen to be in possession of a gun in their vehicle, that automatically means they're going to use the gun against you? I mean, you say that you have no intentions of using your gun, and I'm sure he's going to say that you were driving aggressively also. So, pretty silly, right? And I just also want to draw your attention, PP, to the fact that we're all only here because it was you who had a gun and you who decided to pull it out and brandish it, even if you say it was in the case. Right. Perhaps the real issue is that it's you who can't be trusted to act responsibly with a gun and not the other driver. He would, of course, look at me like the Star Wars robot with the does not compute look on his face as he's being handcuffed. This is another opportunity to highlight the fact that there are three sides to every story. Side A, side B, and the truth. So let's go through those and figure out who's credible. Side A is paranoid Papa, PP. He cut me off. He pulled around me aggressively. He changed lanes suddenly. He blocked my ability to move. I felt threatened. I raised my gun that just so happens to be unzipped, just in case. But I never took it out of the case. That's side A. Side B is the Uber driver. We're both driving aggressively. He cut me off. I cut him off. He honked his horn. I honked my horn. We waved hands at each other. And then he pulled out a gun, shook it at me like this to threaten me. I felt threatened. Then I called 911. And here's the truth. Both these people were probably driving like assholes, with no regard for their fellow motorists. The Uber driver whipped around the road rager. Road rager whipped around the Uber driver. The road rager got mad. The Uber driver got mad. The road rager had a gun. Uber driver didn't. He wanted to intimidate the Uber driver. So with a very flawed understanding of the privileges of self-defense, momentarily took the gun out of the bag, shook it at the Uber driver, and then went on and pretended like it didn't happen. The Uber driver called the police. One of these guys has a reason to lie, and the other one doesn't even want to participate in the prosecution. So who do you believe? All right, now let's get into the law. In order to really parse this out, you have to understand, kind of be going like, there are going to be two theories of defense in play here that really relate. One of them really doesn't relate, but I'm drawing a contrast. So there's a standard classical defense, which is that I didn't do it. And then in order to convict me, you have to prove that I did do it. That's your standard defense. That's not what's in play here. And then there's a justification defense, which is I did it. I did every element of this thing that you're calling a crime, but I was legally justified to do it under the circumstances. Self-defense is obviously a justification defense, but it's a little complicated because in order for the jury to hear a jury instruction on self-defense, something about the evidence during the case has to be brought up that would justify a self-defense instruction. So while the defendant never has the burden of proof, like it's the prosecutor's, the state's job to put on the evidence and prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt, the defendant doesn't get the self-defense instruction if the prosecutor's case in chief doesn't include any events or circumstances that would give rise to a self-defense theory. And so the defendant might find himself in a situation where he has to actually put on witness statements, videos, or something like that, and put on evidence in order to get the jury instruction for self-defense. Because if he doesn't put on evidence and the judge determines at the end that the state's case in chief didn't include anything that would justify self-defense instruction, then he's not going to get it, and the jury's only going to be looking at the crime. So sometimes, even though there's no actual burden to put on evidence as a defendant, sometimes you have to put on evidence in order to control the narrative and in order to give the jury an instruction on self-defense. So the question that you might have now is, well, when would I be legally justified in using self-defense? The way we need to start is to back up and explain the Castle Doctrine, because that's kind of the sphere in which self-defense privileges exist. The Castle Doctrine basically says it refers in common law and traditionally to a person's home or castle, and it basically says that if you're presented with a threat inside your home or your castle, you do not have a duty to retreat. So if somebody attacks you in your threshold of your doorway, you don't have to run like to the furthest closet away in your house before you use force or deadly force. Because it's your home and your castle, you have the privilege of using deadly force without a duty to retreat. Texas and a couple other states, including Tennessee, have extended the Castle Doctrine to include an occupied vehicle, an occupied business, or an occupied place of employment. So you have the same privileges in those places as you would in your home. Now, Texas is also a stand your ground law, and I know that kind of makes it a little confusing, but I'm going to kind of talk in general about stand your ground because there are a lot of other states in the country that also have stand your ground laws, and they generally follow a set of core principles. Stand your ground just means that the same rule of no duty to retreat that applies in your home applies to anywhere else that you are if you're presented with a threat that justifies you using force, okay? But usually in order to invoke your privilege under stand your ground, it kind of follows that there are three elements required. One, you have to be legally authorized to be in the place where you are. So if you're trespassing, can't use it. Two, you cannot be the primary aggressor or the person who provokes the confrontation. So if you're out somewhere and you start a fight with somebody and they pull a knife, you're not justified in pulling your gun out and shooting them because you're the person who started it. Now you can reclaim your privilege of using deadly force under the circumstance where you were the primary aggressor, but then the law imposes a duty to retreat. So you started with no duty to retreat if you weren't the primary aggressor, but if you are the primary aggressor, then you have to run from the threat and retreat as best you can, and if the threat continues, noticing that you've retreated. Then once you've retreated sufficiently, then you can reestablish your ability to use deadly force, even if you're a primary aggressor. And the third element is you can't be conducting illegal activity. So if you're encountered on a street corner and somebody starts a fight with you and they pull out a knife and you pull out a gun, you're justified in shooting them in self-defense. But if you're standing on the street corner because you're selling heroin, then you're conducting illegal activity, and the thing that would be legal if you had no heroin is now felony murder. So something to consider as you're building your heroin empire. So closing arguments in this case, I actually think what would have happened is that PP is so incompetent with his ability to understand how to, he doesn't even know what kind of firearm he has. He knows what caliber it is, but he doesn't know what brand it is. He's holding it up in a way that he says is always the way he drives it around. So even if he's telling the 100% truth, it's completely careless to have a firearm just flopping around in a leather case with no zipper and no protection. So more than likely, if he had to use this gun in self-defense, he would probably shoot some innocent person. And if he's in a situation where he wasn't justified like this one, he would probably shoot a person and he'd go to prison for manslaughter because he had an imperfect claim to self-defense, and in the process, he ended up killing somebody. So that's where we are. I do support that he was charged in this situation, but I wouldn't have taken him to jail. If you go back to the original YouTube video and watch it in its entirety, you'll see that he recently had rotator cuff surgery, and so they end up handcuffing him in the front, and we can all postulate as to why that is. Probably not the way he would be treated if he were some other demographic, but nevertheless, that's what happened. But this is a misdemeanor. They end up charging him with disorderly conduct, which kind of threw me for a loop at first because in Tennessee, our disorderly conduct does not have a section where displaying a firearm that's generally aggravated assault or reckless endangerment. But disorderly conduct under Texas code has a division that includes display of a firearm. I would have probably written him a citation because if you let him go, I really don't. Probably nobody should be charged here, but my concern as a responsible gun owner is no responsible gun owner that trains the way you're supposed to train and educates themselves on the law the way you're supposed to before you go using a gun would ever condone this guy doing this. This makes us all look bad. It's a reason people have ammunition, no pun intended, to use against the gun rights movement. So no reasonable gun owner would condone what this guy did and how he did it. He already feels like he's being attacked here. He's being treated in a prejudicial way. So I wouldn't take him to jail, but I would have, I do support writing him a citation under these circumstances because he can't just walk away from this encounter and think that what he did was right or justified. And he's going to go out and kill somebody. And maybe a citation for disorderly conduct in this situation and losing a family heirloom is a way to keep some innocent person from being killed by him acting like a crazy person with a gun. So anyway, that's all I got on this topic. It's something that, guys, literally I could talk about for 2 hours. I'm very passionate about self-defense. I'll be doing a lot more of these shooting breakdowns and stand your ground situations and stuff like that. So for now, check out one of my other videos in my feed here, and really appreciate your all support. This is a rocket ship. We're on our way to 100,000 subscribers, so appreciate all your support and comments. Please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good day.
You